Now, you have an extraordinary process which I've been lucky to observe over the years. One of the things, we'll try and cover, I think, all aspects of it, as many as we can over this hour. One of the things you do is to take the mundane stuff of everyday life and turn it into something extraordinary. Yes, well, British television had never seen the like. Tell us the journey of where that character came from, if you can remember.
Well, I think the initial thing we did in our first ever show, which was, as I say, was a fundraiser for the theatre company, we wanted to do a stage mesmerist, didn't we?
It was called Mr. Asmodeus.
So that was probably the genesis of some of it. But then...
Yeah, a bad medium.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of the phone messages left by your landlord. Just tell us about that and how...
Well, we had a landlord called Peter Papalazarou, who may well still be out there renting out flats in East Finchley. And I dealt with him because we shared the flat, and when we both moved in, I dealt with him because Reece wasn't there. And he was very reluctant to speak to Reece or to leave a message for Reece. So the whole Hello Dave thing grew out of, Hello Steve. Is Steve there? Okay, Steve. I need to bring a Hoover belonging to you. This is just a saga now. And he would leave these rambling answer phone messages. And for some bizarre reason, we thought, is there a sketch in that? Yeah. And it turns out there was.
And so something about that then fused with the idea.
Well, then it was you have a memory of travelling folk, don't you?
Yes. Well, and the thing of some travelling folk arriving at our house in Hull and wanting to use the toilet, coming in, my mum being reluctant to let them in, but it was, can we use your toilet, please? We're desperate. And do you want to buy some pegs? They literally said that in our kitchen. And my mum was terrified and shut the door in the face. But I thought, it's an early home invasion sketch. I mean, all horror films are that premise now. But I think that was what we were after. I mean, we talked about a thing with them all burst into your house.
I think we might have even
a home invasion type. Yeah. And I think we just, all those elements snapped together. And then the thing of the circus and him being a ringmaster.
That came from the necessity.
That came from that. I mean, the whole thing of, I genuinely think we didn't think of it as blackface.
No, when
I think we thought
it
was just like a clown makeup, but a creepy clown makeup. We thought it would just be, we wanted to create like a nightmare, like an amalgam of all your, like, Strowelpeter and Childcatcher and that kind of thing, and have him descend on the town of Royston Vasey. And that's what ended up arriving.
And then the final piece of the jigsaw was that extraordinary walk as well, which you
yes, and that was the Browns. The Browns, which when I was at school, there was a family across the road, and they all walked really slowly and leaning back as they walked and moving their hands like that. And I remember very distinctly when I was about 11 watching the whole pack of the Browns in a full PE game lesson, which was, I was on the school field, so an hour, the length of the field, and it was only this length. So I don't know why that stuck with me, that walk, and I just kept it for Lazarou. So
that extraordinary character was an amalgam of all these different things.
Yeah, I mean, it's madness in it to think that you could dare to think it was funny, but all those things were funny to us, so I just think we just thought, well, let's just see what happens. I don't know that there's a pass in the writing or the thought process of writing a funny sketch for us, where we think, right, well, we find it funny, we have to do something that makes it accessible for everybody else. And I think that would be where it would fail, probably.
Well, a case in point is we were in a newsagent's in Muswell Hill and buying a newspaper, and a woman came in, clearly insane, and opened the door and said, "Excuse me, anyone got a baklava you?" and the man just went, "Sorry, love, no." And we thought, oh, there'll be a sketch in that somewhere. And turned it into Pam Doo.
Yeah. So your process is, as well as being meticulous and disciplined, is also very instinctive, because you're following a gut sense of, oh, well, that feels funny.
Well, that's the joy of working, first of all, as a group, because when there were four of us, we would write, Jeremy and Mark would often write together, and me and Reece would write together. So not only do you have the person you're writing with to bounce things off, you then have this brilliant sort of afternoon session where we would meet up once or twice a week and read what we'd been working on to each other. So then you've got your mini audience who are also your friends and have the same sense of humour. So I think there's a protectiveness about that sort of, we had a very special way of working, and so by the time we were putting it on the stage in front of an audience, we were quite secure with within the four of us, that it was something that made us laugh, and it's who can, who wants to join in that club, really.
Yeah.
And are there anything that you've done where that instinct's been wrong, or where you've done something and it hasn't?
Well, only that sketch you wrote for me, which is called The Randy Rabbi. Where I had to learn all these long Hebrew phrases. And all these Hebrew phrases were perverse acts that the rabbi was... No, that didn't go down very well, did it?
Yeah, that never made it as far as... So, all right, we'll talk more about how that process has developed as you've gone on further in your career. But just before we leave the league entirely... obviously, it was a journey that started with the four of us, but then there were lots of other people that came in into that process too. How much do you think that is part of creating the whole, working with those other people?
Well, the league had so many, it began on stage, and then we had the radio, and then here in Edinburgh, and then from Edinburgh 96 we had the Radio 4 series, and suddenly it was right, well, we now have to do an aural version of all these characters, and how do we do that? And we kind of tried to embrace in the radio, the sound, and a lot of characters. In Chinnery was a sound joke, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Mr. Ingleby, the shopkeeper,
the tiny shopkeeper,
who was varying sizes from like a curly whirly was a ladder to him at one point, and then he was more like a ventriloquist dummy. But that was a very aural joke. And then when we got the TV, it was like, right, now what do we do? Do we have the tuxedos? It was like, is it going to be like three of a kind, and very much audience bound, because I could never imagine Pauline and those sketches. I thought you have to have an audience. Steve is so brilliant with the audience as Pauline. It would be wrong to kind of take that away from the mix. But then we got to thinking it would be great to really make it look like a Mike Leigh and be so miserable looking in that restart room and on the dole. And it's utterly real, but at the heart of it is Steve dressed as Pauline in the front of it, but totally that's not a thing. And that became very much, I think,
but
the
in a way
tenure
that
of the
was
whole thing.
we were very open-minded to all approaches, and we did a very unusual thing.
Did we? Yeah.
We had the whole series commissioned, but we shot episode 1 deliberately 2 or 3 months prior to shooting the rest of the episodes, so that we could learn from shooting Act 1, even though it wasn't a pilot, we had full series commissioned. And that was a great idea. Probably Sarah Smith, who was our producer at the time, who was a very, very strong character and really guided us and drove us. And I think the other key figure was Steve Bendelak, who directed all our League of Gentlemen work, and he had such a filmic sense. He tapped into, because on stage, it was very theatrical. This was our roots. But as soon as we were given access to creating television, we drew on our love of films and film knowledge. And that's where he could bring all that stuff to life. So I think we were incredibly lucky with the people we worked with at the BBC, and have been ever since.
And with our design team too, with Grenville Horner,
Grenville, yeah, and Eve,
and Eve Barr, who you went on to work with again in Cycleville, didn't you? So I have a question for you as well about process. Nowadays, when you make television, at an executive level, a lot of people get involved. When we were doing the league, can you remember how many notes we got from Channel Controller?
None.
From an executive producer?
Yeah. We have always worked with John Plowman as an executive producer, and my opinion has gone from at the beginning going, well, he doesn't do anything, to now, oh, thank God he doesn't do anything. But that's a complete misnomer, because John is absolutely brilliant at shielding you from all... we don't know how many things were posed by channel controllers. We didn't know for a long time that the show was cancelled. because before it had even been filmed.
We were on the recce and it had all gone away, hadn't it?
It had all been, the controller at the time, who's
Mark
Thompson, just said, I can't be doing with this. I don't understand it. I don't know what this is going to be.
He said, I've never seen anything like it.
And this is
You would
before
think
we'd
might be
even
a good
filmed
thing.
it. But what John did is he allows you to be creative without worrying about all this stuff. And he's very, very choice with his notes. Even when doing Inside Number 9, he'd have 2 or 3 points, always brilliant points that we'd go away and work on. But you don't feel like you're drowning. And I think that can sometimes be the difference if you just get a barrage of stuff from all directions. And I think that's what gives our work, if it does have something that's unique, it's the fact that it just comes from our heads and it's fairly undiluted by the time it reaches the screen. Mm-hmm. And we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, I think we've had in John basically, a champion in the room, and you need someone that's that for you, because we can't do it. We're never invited to those meetings, so it's important that someone's going. I really think we should give it I don't know what he says, but they've kindly allowed us to do it.